This is it.
It's happening.
This is it right now. We just started.
I feel like the band's been together, but it kind of feels like we're back in a way.
Yeah. Oh, this is a reunion tour. Alexandra Dika. Alex. Can I call you Alex? And so I will.
You know what?
Alexandra Dika, welcome to my world.
I feel like I'm living in it right now, and it feels good.
Girl, can I tell you? You started my world. I can't talk to you and have other people listen without not just taking the first 5 seconds to go for
I need
anybody who,
context.
yeah, for anybody who follows me on LinkedIn or on my Instagram or all of this like kooky video stuff. I would not be doing any of it if it wasn't for my good friend and partner and colleague and road dog and soldier, Alex. We connect in the business world a lot, but one thing led to another, slipped into the DM, and she's like, Chris, you're not doing enough. And here's what I think that you should do. And I took it to heart and I carried the football. I started with the In My Past Life videos, and it just slowly graduated and evolved into this crazy, wild adventure that now the lady herself gets to join me on today. So there's your backstory, and it's still all your fault. And I'll live and breathe that for the rest of my days.
Here's the thing. When you meet people and they share things about you and you have like this beautiful exchange, I feel in my early conversations with you, I was just kind of like, wow, I'm so curious to know more. And once you started sharing more, I was like, okay, this feels like a friend. Therefore, I want all of my friends to reach their full potential. And here's the thing. Yeah, you could have been doing more, and now you're doing more, and it's
Dude,
what the people want, baby.
it's
Gotta
what the
feed them.
people, come on. No, you didn't hold back. And I took it to heart. And so while it is your fault, I am forever appreciative and grateful. That's the nicest thing I'm going to say to you on this cast. So drink it in, girl. Drink it
Okay,
in.
I'm hydrated now. You can stop. You know what I mean?
No, okay. Let's get back to business. All right, I jot down a couple notes. You know how I roll. Here's the first thing that I want to ask is Phoenix, Arizona. That's where you're at right now. Is that where you always been?
Oh my gosh,
Where you been?
I'm a Midwesterner, baby. I was
Okay.
born and bred in Wisconsin.
Okay, get it. Get it.
Lactose intolerant, but from the dairy state.
You
You know what I
already
mean?
know. You already know.
How I built early character right
I
there.
dig it. I dig it. Did you go from Wisconsin to Arizona? What that lineology look like?
Yeah, okay, so like, my blue collar parents, like my grandparents were farmers. They were
Love it, dude.
so, I think that my dad, I grew up kind of on the dealership. I was a dealership kid. My
Get it.
dad
Okay.
was on the billboards, sold Kia, like all
Love
that
it.
fun stuff.
Come
And
on.
I think, he felt the level, like he felt the ceiling. And I think he wanted to, strive for more. And from the town I'm from, it is a small town and you're very interconnected. So I think it was very brave and courageous that my parents made like the step to go somewhere new
Okay.
and so far. Because we're very familially woven.
Yeah. I mean,
You know?
dude, AZ is a big jump from
It's
tendon
a
to the
jump.
pasture. Yeah.
Yeah, if you were to ask him, he didn't want to shovel anymore. But
Yeah.
I think that if
Can't
you were
blame
to
him.
really ask him,
Can't
there
blame
was
him.
more opportunity. Yeah, that's how I ended up here, and I got planted here in the uncomfortable season of 7th grade.
Okay.
And,
Dang. All
you
right.
know, so, I want to say, like, maybe I don't even want to give Arizona credit to growing up here because I definitely feel like I spent those, but I
You
think I was
harvest that
promised.
Midwest girl vibe. Yeah. No, I clocked it from day one. You kidding me? Day one.
Dude, yeah, like when I look up and walk down the street, I'm just trying to make eye contact
No,
so that I can
yeah,
say, how you doing?
for sure. For sure.
I'm craving the connection. Please talk to
So
me.
you got a closet full of like boots, cowboy hats, belt buckles. Like, if you got to show
Yeah.
up, I know you show up.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I mean, I'm a creative. Like being fashion forward is like an extension of self. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I don't really have like the cowgirl boots. Like I haven't yeehawed that hard in the season of
Okay.
life. Well, actually, I do have a pair. Hold
No,
on. Whoa.
come on, get out of here. You got
I
him.
do got buckles too. You're right. Never mind. Hold on. I'm gonna throw myself out there.
I
I'm
feel
I'm a
you.
diverse dresser.
I
And I
like
got
it.
Packers jerseys in there too. So tell anyone who wants to drop in the comments and talk, a little riffity
A
riff.
little NFL
I
riffity
welcome
riff.
it.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe
Yep.
we'll reserve some of the sports talk because not a big Packers fan, but we'll get into it. Here's what I want to get into. Here's what I want to hit you with. Alex, you got a massive background in people development, brand reputation, and culture at Nextiva. But before that we get into all of that juiciness of some of your experience, talk to me about your 5 year stint as a barista for the Dutch Bros coffee brand. Like, how were you able to take that experience and turn it into just this elevation of success that you are riding the roller coaster on today? Talk to me about that.
Oh my gosh, let's dig in. Okay, so this was presented to me, and I'm very grateful for like this origin story. So the job I had prior to Dutch Bros was my first job, and through that job, I think just like from an innate characteristic standpoint, I'm just a natural born connector. I love people. I have a tattoo to prove it.
Love it.
And
Love
I
it.
just I loved interacting, like, I loved everything from, like, first impression to lasting impression to, when you come back, I'm gonna remember your name, I'm probably gonna make a comment on how, "Hey, you just changed that froyo." Yes, I started in froyo and then moved to espresso. But, yeah, the origin story was essentially, like, a big contender, and his name was Charles. He would come in often with his family, and, he always, like, wore the Dutch Bro brand, so it was kind of putting 2 and 2 together over
Okay.
time, but I didn't necessarily wanna connect with, like, what he did because that's not who he was. Like, he was, like, this family man who loved his kids and, like, had a beautiful relationship with his wife, and I just loved being, like, a little tidbit in their world.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what that it was special, and what that eventually led to, all those interactions, was him just asking me, how it came up, like, "Yeah, I work across the pond at Dutch Bros," and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I've heard amazing things," and he's like, "You should go introduce yourself to Robert, who managed that location." And
Yeah.
I think at that point in time, that was like a first transition of me being open to trying something new or going to a new place and
Hmm.
changing my employment situation. And once that did, I think I just kind of found my people. And in that point of time, like it was instant as like I met the manager. He was like, "Yeah, I really enjoyed this. Like, I think that we should move forward." And that's how I kind of landed there. And from there, it was just me being a part of this culture
Yeah.
that was so people forward and it was infectious. It was, creating muscle memory, not just for like their menu and like the product and consistency, but it was people.
Mhm.
And I really appreciated that aspect to where like one of the positions is being thrown on window and window is like you are talking to people and passing out their coffees each time. And
Yeah.
you really have to dig into those people skills and just being intentional and pay attention. And that was stuff that I feel like I was already naturally very good at and enjoyed doing. So I feel like the Dutch Bros era just really heightened me being put in a season of life and um the environment to where I was able to have that regularly,
Yeah.
often. Like it was full relationship building at
Dude,
its finest.
I
And we were just
love
bonding.
I love to hear that. I have so before any of like, and it's not even on my LinkedIn, but my first real couple jobs where I did like the host stand at CPK. I was at CPK, California Pizza Kitchen, for 10 years, all through my schooling. And
Familiar
so
with it.
dude, I have such a respect for people that start the workforce, especially in hospitality, because, and it's like maybe a silent, if I'm interviewing somebody for a sales position or customer success or support, I love to see some type of hospitality experience because you see every shape, size, personality, color of people. And, you know, it's like there's nothing that can replace the experience of how you communicate and adapt and focus on tonality and like going back to you being the relationship builder. And so that's why I had to ask about your barista experience because no doubt, and I'm glad that you acknowledged it,
Yeah.
no doubt it teed you up for some of the coolest stuff that you get to do today. And I would attribute that to why you're such a rock star. I would attribute that to why we connected very quickly,
Mhm.
just being lunatics, silly banter, offhand jokes, but at the same time, like real value and like really building something meaningful. We've had our personal conversations, we've had our more collegiate conversations where like obviously our companies are partnered. Everything in between I feel like has been such a great catalyst because of that relationship building staple. So there you go. I said two nice things about you. I promise I'm done.
Like, yeah, here's the thing, be more of a critic, okay?
Yeah,
I am
yeah,
built off
sorry.
of that. Well, you want to know what's really special, and I think that where we are mutually very connected is I think you and I value the people pillar part of ourselves. And I think
100.
that no matter what environment you place us in, we're going to dive into the people pillar. Because I think that no matter where you go, no matter what industry you're in, etc. If you are somebody who is people motivated, you will find your place absolutely anywhere
Yeah.
and you will truly connect. You will be able to work alongside people because of, your diverse nature. But what's very cool, and this is where I see me and you to be so similar, and I love this about you because I love it about me, is we can be in a room full of people, be extremely adaptable, be extremely authentic, but we can still stay true to us.
Yeah.
We don't conform, like we are authentically us 100% of the time. And you want to know what? For maybe some, that might how to say it? My favorite phrase is like, I'm not going to yuck your yum. So don't
Yeah.
yuck my
Ooh,
yum.
I
We're not going
like
to be
that.
everyone's
I
yum.
like that.
But you wanna know what? Like, we're us, and
Yeah.
that's something that I feel very proud of, and we have unique gifts that we share, and we're very vulnerable in sharing and forthward, and that's where the magic happens.
No, dude,
I
a
think that's what
hundred
people
percent.
gravitate to.
100%. And look, the other thing that I've clocked about you, and this isn't me making another nice comment, but I think it's a strong similarity between us, is, bro, you root for people. Like you're a hype man.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, like you put me in that corner where you were hyping me to do more. I see you on the LinkedIn platform and you just like, there's such a shortage of people that like really just root for you. We're stuck in this mundane rat race where it's like, I'm better than you, XYZ. But dude, you root for people, and I think that that's one of the most beautiful things, and it fosters a collective and a collaborative growth. And so yeah, man, again, that's why we teed up instantly. We're just rooting for each other, dude. I just want to
It's
see you
you
win, Alex. My gosh.
win, 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 no matter what. Well, here's the thing. I think what's cool about that is, as you should, like, not everyone is going to be hardwired to want the best for people. But, like, if you truly care about people and you're meeting someone, like, to me, you're Chris. Like, yes, you're a father, you have a great career, you have, like, this amazing, like, platform. But, like, there are things about you that are you. You know what I mean? Those are just
Yeah.
things that you do and are extensions of you. And I think not a lot of people, crave to know people from an individual basis.
Yeah.
Like, if you truly care about people, you will get curious about them. You'll find out what moves them, what motivates them. Like for you, for example, like you're a creative. In our first conversations that we had, we were bonding over just like creative pathways. And I was like, oh, this is a perfect example. Like you, Chris, are a perfect example that we as humans are such multi-dimensional people. There's so
Yeah.
much about us that makes us us. And if you're just like putting people in boxes, no, like, you know what I mean? Like you are beyond the place you work. So like if your colleagues are just treating you as like this cog, you're not a cog in a
Yeah.
machine. Like you are you and you're driving something individual and powerful. And I think people just are gravitated some to energy. Like it's energy, it's like
Yeah.
authenticity. And even if you aren't like a similar personality as the person behind you, I think if you just share the commonality of intentionality, you're gonna jive just fine. Like
Dude,
it's like
put it on a
intentionality.
t-shirt, Alex.
Mm,
The
mm, mm.
intentionality of commonality, put it on a t-shirt, get it
Bing,
on
bing, bing.
Etsy, take it to the bank.
It's
I
not that
love that, dude.
hard.
And dude, I feel like it comes full circle to like why I do mutual connections, because the whole kind of theme behind this is that I don't want people to be stuck in a cog, and I'm so curious about the person beyond the post. Like, and I try to be as authentic as possible when I'm posting stuff, but there is no replacement to just a raw, uncut, what's up, Alex? My name's Chris. What's up, Chris? My name's Alex. Like, we're just going to rap with each other off the cuff, no script, just get it in. There's honestly nothing cooler than that. And so I think that ties into kind of like how we were able to jumpstart some success just in collaborating to begin with
I crave it. Like here's the thing, I would rather have those kind of conversations. Like
every
something that
day.
grinds my gears is like people who feel the need to show up polished.
Mhm.
Like you do not need to be super hyper analytical about how you're presenting to me, what you're saying. Like you don't need to just talk. And
Just,
that's
yeah,
something that I
be you.
right? Like, just be with me. Like
Mhm.
I'm not this is the judgment-free zone. Like I want to share time with you. I'm asking these questions not because I'm looking for a certain answer. Like I'm just like you and me can be together in the same room and we're us. Like, and
Yeah.
that's special.
And
That's
that's
what's
it.
freaking cool.
That's a
And that's it.
welcome to
And
our
that's enough.
world now, everyone.
Yes. There's a clear sense of belonging, you know what I mean? It's like, I like that. And also too, I think people need to make more space like that because that's when you're gonna pull out the true potential of every single person you're surrounded by, whether it's in your personal life or in your career.
Yeah. No, hun, I mean, look, and even taking that little nugget and segueing more into some of the business things that I want to ask you about is obviously you're big on like people development, brand reputation, customer experience, if you will. My world is sales, sales development, a lot of the relationship building, and the foundation for some of the coolest scenarios that I'm sure that we've both come into is
Mhm.
has nothing to do with me having an ulterior motive of getting the sale or let me fix your customer journey experience. Whatever. It's just, hey man, I trust this person. I like this person. Sometimes I could be goofy. I can rely on them. They're accountable. And that as the bedrock foundation, particularly when you're transitioning into more business kind of nothing beats it. Nothing beats it ever. So I love that dude. All right. For anybody who's not following Alex, she is a certified full blown lunatic. Let me tell you why. Okay. Your content that you put out, first of all, the company that you're with is, gosh, what a culture. And I can't help but think that you have so much to do with that culture that you've created inside, like with your workers, from your admins to the sales force to your executive team. Like, I see what you guys are doing in office, and honestly, it just looks like you guys love to be there. And there's an expression by Khalil Gibran. Um, it is work is love made visible. I just went psychological on us. Work is love made physical. And that's what you guys are doing over at Next Diva. Just walk me through like what is your day to day? How did you create such an environment like that? Because my gosh, Alex.
You know what? I think it stems from intentionality and I think it stems to care because at the end of the day, there are so many different personalities. There's so many different human beings that are looking for something different in their day to day, especially when it comes to the term culture. What is that? What does that mean, especially when you're a global company, when you have, so many diverse people? Like, how do you meet them where they're at? And I think that what we're building right now and something that I care about is the intentionality of just getting to know the people, meaning one to one. Because
Mhm.
anyone can say that they're in the business of people, but are you actually touching them every single day? Are
Yeah.
you actually, having conversations to where you are plugging takeaways in your pocket? And the next time you see that person, you're pulling them back up and be like, hey, I know that the other day that you said you were going to go to that new class. Like, how was it for you? I know that
Yeah.
you're feeling a
Right
little
back to your
like,
Dutch Bros days, dude. I
yeah,
told you,
man.
man.
Connection, like it's so important. And I think I am someone who really pays attention to people, the details, like even comfortability, like body language, things like that. I'm very aware and I like to really leverage that and use that to connect with people. And I actually want to create a space and a floor where they can share how they're really doing.
Yeah.
I think that when it comes to just everyday like employer branded experience, yeah, I'm responsible for perception, but I'm also responsible for making sure that that perception is authentic.
Yeah.
And that's something that I really care about. Like, if at the end of the day, we want to have that be a differentiator, what are we doing differently? And I think that when it comes to connecting with everyday people and everyday people in my office that I'm surrounded by, I care to know them. So
Yeah.
therefore, for me, like me touching who they are, what they care about, what fuels them, some people might think that's a lot because that's a lot of people. It's like not for me.
Yeah.
Like for
No, you're
me, that's
built
what
for it, dude. You're built for it.
built for it and I have the capacity for it. And therefore, if I do, I will. And
Yeah.
that's where, I put it into very intentional practice.
Building a whole t-shirt company here. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, with
And
these
you know
quotes.
what? Here's like my hot take. I remember I shared this with you one day, and it's something I'm very passionate about. In the world of networking and building relationships, because at the end of the day, one of the most strategic things you can do for some people it's innate, for some people you have to be a little extra intentional. Building relationships is a strategy. Relationship building is a strategy, creating your network, creating connections, even when it just comes into like your everyday, your world, like your
Mhm.
personal role and responsibilities, figuring out who does what and who you can partner with will make you work 10 times faster,
Yeah,
will
Will.
make you 10 times more effective. And guess what? 10 times more enjoying your job because you're not having to like, it's good to be a student, but sometimes in areas where you already have an expert, partner with them.
All day. Why you gotta make
So,
it harder on yourself? And
yeah,
that's another full circle is, dude, when you go to that expert and you go, hey, Alex, you're way smarter than me in this world, and I want to pick your brain and I want some advice from you. Like, do you know how great that makes that person feel? Like, get the
yeah,
heck out of here, dude. I mean,
yeah.
it's so funny you mentioned the 10x. I got my book right here, 10x easier than 2x. Keeping
I
that
was gonna,
10x mindset, man. Ask the smarter people for I always tell people, if I'm not the dumbest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. Like it's as simple as that, baby. You already put that on a t-shirt, Alex.
yeah, here's the
But no,
thing.
you're spot on.
No, it's student mentality too. Like, here's the thing. I only know what I know. Therefore,
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask often. And I think that I played basketball growing up, and a like common thing that my coach always said is like closed mouths don't get fed. And that is something that I will practice and I will
Dang.
preach to the day I
Yeah.
because it really does matters. It's like closed mouths don't get fed. Say what you mean and mean what you say. If you are, in question or you don't fully know, like speak. And I think that in a world where people are really searching to find their voice, or in a world where perceived value is such like a crippling thought,
Yeah.
I actually think that people who ask the most questions in a room are the most intelligent. And I
Dude, me
think
too.
that hands down. And you want to know what? For those who are constantly in curiosity to grow and attain new knowledge, those are people I want to hang out with. And those are people that I want to give the mic more because
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, ask your questions because there might also be voices in the, like, people in the room who are afraid to ask that question.
The exact
And
same.
if you ask
Bingo.
it, yeah, if you ask it, guess what? So many people are benefiting from your bravery.
Yeah. Dude.
So
Gosh, I love that. No, I
things
love
like
that
that,
take.
man.
That's why you're
Things
good
like
at what you do, man. Sorry to say it.
dude,
That's why you're
I
good at what you
care
do.
about it. And do you want to know? Here's also something that I've been very honest with myself because I have been in this conversation, and this is like something that I crave to create, but also like I need to check in with myself. Like, how do I feel about that type thing?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find a place in this space, and like whether that's in corporate, whether that's in tech, because
Mhm.
I am a woman who works in tech with no tech background outside
Yeah.
of what I've gained in the last
I love that though.
years.
I love that because you're just taking it head first, face on, drink it up. Like there's nothing cooler than that type of
Yeah.
confidence. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's the thing, throw me in situations where I know nothing, and I can guarantee that I will prevail and I will be successful because it takes intentionality, it takes curiosity, and it takes building relationships with people who are smarter than you, who will take the time to paint a picture for you and explain with extreme clarity.
Mhm.
And also, too, going back to what you said about, building people up. Part of relationship building is wanting everyone to win. And I'm a firm believer that like I'm not trying to be ahead of anybody. I am trying to cross the finish line alongside all of my people.
Yeah.
I want us all to win. Like it's
Ain't
not
no
a
fun if the homie don't get none. You already
exactly, they
know.
want all the homies to win, okay? And, like, me included, like, if you're as passionate I how to say? I have, my personal value and, like, the worth that I've built up for myself is only because I have people around me who are also building me up, and they
Yeah.
helped me, better believe in myself, and when I look in the mirror to be able to, like, say all of the things that, my characteristics that make me me. And I think because of that, it helps me extend myself to many people and do the exact same. And
100.
I think that sometimes that's all people need. Pardon me for the cuss, but something that I constantly say is like, dude, remember who the fuck you are.
Yes,
Like, look in
man.
the mirror, like, remember like, step in your fucking power. You've got this. Stop being crippled by, like any internal dialogue that you're facing right now that is negative or, not wanting you to prevail, not wanting you to try, not wanting you to be successful. Like your inner critic, fuck them right now and
Yeah,
listen to me.
man.
Like I'm about to speak into you because I
Dude,
want you to hear
I
what I'm
love
saying.
that. I love
And
that.
people need that.
No,
They
dude, they
need that.
needed so I preach this all the time to my sales team because I gassed them up, man. I was a women's college soccer coach. I have experience. Yeah, man. It was the biggest lesson for man management, like all the personalities. I could yell at somebody and that would light them up and they go on the field and they kill it. But I could yell at somebody else and dude, I just broke this person down. I'm not getting anything out of them. So that different approach and how you hype man the whole operation is huge. And one of the things I tell these guys is I wish that when you looked in the mirror, you saw what I see in
Guys
you.
saw.
Like you clearly don't. And so going back to like you surrounding yourself with those type of people, whether they're mentors, whether they're friends, whether they're supporters, like ultimately that is what gifts both of us the confidence, like you said, to be one of the only females in this tech world where you're at and go, you know what? I'm going to grab this, I'm going to harness it, and we're going to go kick some ass. And that's just a beautiful thing, dude. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and you wanna know what? I think for me too, there's like a vulnerability in me sharing, like I wouldn't consider myself like a tech girly, you know? And I think at one point in time I was really trying to conform and fit into that box because I was like, I work in tech. Like I should probably, you know, represent, but also
Yeah,
too it felt
yeah,
so inauthentic. Like I'm actually not in love with technology. I'm not in love with people.
yeah,
So but here's the thing, I can find my place because every business is like powered by humans.
yeah.
And my business, we're technology, but we empower human connections, and that's where I'm
Dude,
bought in.
people use tech. That's
Sign me up.
that's your
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
bridge
yeah.
right there is I'm gonna protect the people. And
And that's
we
where I
have
fit in.
we have this awesome tech and I'm gonna protect the people, build the bridge into this awesome tech, and that is CX. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That is
Yeah.
CX. I
Yeah,
love it.
CX is empowering people with tools. Like, I think that there's this conception where it's like, "Oh, humans are going to be replaced." Hell no. And you're
Wow.
saying, if that
Not
was
on
the
my
fact, if
watch.
that was the truth, not on my fucking watch. Because here's the thing, like, no way. We're empowering human touch. Like, even just like a quick scenario, not to get tech geeky, but this is how I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I
Listen,
am.
lay it on me.
Yeah, when it comes to tools like customer experience platforms, there's something, when it comes to agents, people who are customer facing, they're talking to people every single day, having a million conversations. Them being a human themselves, you know what I mean? There is a emotional bandwidth and there's also an emotional capacity. But where tech comes in great is like they have call summarization. So when, instead of like that manual work where you're having a conversation with somebody, but you're also having to multitask, and both of those things in your brain take a capacity.
Oh
You're
yeah.
not fully present with the person you're talking with because you're also having a role and responsibility of taking notes on this call. Guess what? There's call summarization to where you can go ahead and have like this checklist box on the side that's kind of like a peer coach, like a
Hmm.
coaching assistant that, hey, Alex, just a friendly reminder, like these are all the core questions we need to land, in order for you to check all your personal boxes and also for, this to move forward in the process this customer's looking to achieve. But also too, like, don't worry about all the manual stuff. Like, we're gonna summarize that so you can be fully present with Jim. Ask the questions
I
you need
love
to
it.
ask, create space that you need to create for him, make him feel heard. Because guess what? People who are preaching that they're really listening aren't listening because they don't have the tools to set them up to
Yeah.
truly listen, be
Yeah.
there.
No, dude, I love it. And like those are the exact same benefits that I get from your platform day in and day out, and especially as a supervisor. Look, this is not a plug for Nextiva, but let me just, especially as a supervisor, the old school of shoot, dude, I got to listen to 100 calls from all my agents this week just to see where's a coaching opportunity. Well, like those days
Mhm.
are done and dusted. Using that call summation and setting like supervisory triggers for like, hey man, but you could have showed a little bit more empathy, or it seemed like you were cutting this person off a lot, or the tonality just kind of wasn't vibing. You were going really fast and they were going really slow. Like, I think that the way that your platform is integrating and utilizing this advanced technology, particularly with like automation, little smatterings of AI,
Mm.
is dude, it's next level. And that's why, dude, I'm such a big fan of the platform, and I will always show up for you guys.
Dude, I love that. And do you want to know what, Chris? Because I care about you. Like, you deserve to spend your time directly with your people. You don't
Thank
deserve
you.
to spend your time, listening to call after call, trying to find feedback. Like, let AI do that so that you can have the real conversation, the important one,
Yeah.
where it's actually you and the person on your team. Hey, like, I want to talk to you about this. Here's kind of like some key highlights and themes that I've seen based on your calls. What's going on?
Yeah.
And it allows you, instead of like, weighing in like, here's what I heard and saw. It's like, hey, here are just some themes. Like, let's talk it through because I want you to feel confident and be at your best.
Yeah.
Because that
Dude,
doesn't just help
spot
you, it
on.
helps me.
No, spot
Helps
on.
us all.
I love it. We're getting a little bit short on time, but I want to get you on. Uh, I want to hear about, to be fair, I want to hear about your trip to New York because
Mm.
girl, the most hilarious content I have seen posted. Like, it was so funny. In the middle when we were talking, you're like, CX means, and I was almost going to stop you and be like, I heard Spider-Man tell me a way different definition of what CX means. And dude, when you're about to cross the crosswalk, I like the vulnerability because obviously you're outgoing, obviously you're an animal, but you were literally in the concrete jungle surrounded by strangers. I'm sure with this mission of, hey, how many strangers can I talk to complete this mission? Tell me about your experience on the mean streets of NYC.
Man, I'll tell you. So, this was a concept, like a game plan, because you want to know what? Me and my colleague Ruth Vella, phenomenal human, she brought up something really real, and it's because she's real and she's very like raw, and she's like, I want to see more of like we're using all of these corporate jargony words. What the fuck does that mean?
Yes.
We're pitching it like so many of these companies are pitching AI, CX. Well, guess what, friends? How many of you are actually going out on the street and talking to everyday people about these concepts? And if people won't even know what they mean, but
Yeah.
how they actually truly feel about it.
No, for sure.
And you want to know what? That's where we're different. We're doing that. So going to New York, that was a field study. Like that was us taking real, customer experience scenarios from everyday consumers, everyday people, and asking them their thoughts on them, asking them how they feel. Because guess what? If you care about people, you go on the streets and you touch them. You don't just
No, for
preach that you
sure.
say you're listening. You
Yeah.
actually go, you ask them in person, you stop them on the street, and you get their real unfiltered thoughts.
So
So
awkward.
that's what we did. And for me, I have done like customer story interviews. Like I used to lead, kind of like a customer marketing muscle. So for me, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is like an extent of what I once did. But, I'm talking to like everyday Joes and Jills,
Yeah.
which is like something I've also done in past
Right,
lives. But
right.
what that really brought to me is people are people and people are looking to connect. People are open to ask, like, being asked questions actually. Like everyone has an opinion.
Hmm.
Everyone has an emotion tied to how, everyday things impact them. And that's exactly what we're after because at the end of the day, businesses, if they care about customer experience, they need to be conscientious of customer experience from the moment you're looking into the business.
Yeah.
Like that's where it truly starts, is that Google search.
No, for sure.
Best barbecue on the block. Who
Yeah.
is it?
You know it. You know it.
Yeah, so it was fun. And it was one of those things where it's like this is what it's really about, asking everyday people their true thoughts and feelings because no one's actually doing that. They're just saying that they know how people feel. But
No,
it's
for
like,
sure.
yeah.
No, for sure. Dude, and honestly, intentionally or unintentionally, there was a lot of magic that came out of that series for me specifically. And to be fair, anybody in marketing is just going back to your silly premise of asking people, Spider-Man,
Mhm.
different characters, what is CX? And the amount of people that one didn't know the answer. And so like what that tells me in my world is you and I live in the corporate jargon. Oh, the KPIs, where are your benchmarks, the CX experience, there's an RFP, dude. Um, 99.9% of people have no clue what the heck we're talking about. And so for me, it was magic because simplifying your message into something that is universal to all people is the keystone. Like going back to your Google search, if I wouldn't even know to say what is CX, I would
Yeah.
start with like, hey, I'm looking for a platform where I could make phone calls and manage my sales or my existing customers. Like that's the base of it. And I feel like we get so locked in to the jargon, especially because that's what like the actual sales conversations are like. And you lose the face of reality at, dude, there's 99% of a customer demographic that you could land, but they have no idea what you're saying, bro. So taking that and simplifying it into the marketing message, I think was the most beautiful type of like, oh shit, she's kind of got a point here. And so I did really appreciate that series because, yeah, man, I learned a lot, and I think it was a really cool exercise for you to do.
Thank you. Yeah, and next Steve on the street. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like, let's have real, unfiltered conversations about everyday topics that people actually know the scenarios more than they do this jargon you're trying to lay on
Yeah.
them. So if you're saying you're about it
Be
by actually
about it.
going and talking to people in the flesh and
Yes.
getting their real innate responses. And also, too, you want to know what there needs to be a human-centric part to your brand if you're talking in all this AI jargon, but you're not having a real person touch these people and ask them
Hmm.
questions.
You're
I'm sorry,
missing
but
the
you're not
point.
doing enough. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're missing the whole point.
you're missing
Keep
the
it
point.
simple and keep it innovative, but don't forget the core things that are going to make it successful and
Yeah.
sustainable.
Dude, 100%. My long lost associate, Alexandra Dika, is long overdue. I'm so happy that you got to jump into my crazy world. This is not going to be the last time that I'm graced with your presence. Thank you. You are the ultimate relationship builder. You keep all of the most important elements of brand and people at the forefront. And for that, we are forever grateful.
Thank you. And I
Pleasure sitting
promise the
down.
mission is not complete. We're
No,
going to keep it coming and we're
we're
not going
gonna
to slow
keep it
down.
coming. Hey, we're just getting started. There is no elevator to success. Sometimes you got to take the stairs, and I'm taking each stair along with you, Alex. All right, my girl. Have a great rest of your day. Go kick some ass in the office. Go hype some people up, and I can't wait to hear about it later. All right, friend.
Can't wait to tell you. Bye,
All right,
Chris.
homie. Talk to you soon. Bye.